The Carlton Hotel's ballroom glittered that night. Powerful men and women filled the tables, glasses clinking, voices low with whispers about a mysterious guest. At the center sat Mr. Khalid, an Arab millionaire rumored to be investing billions in America. His presence drew every eye in the room. But there was a problem. Khalid didn't speak English well. His translator's flight had been delayed, and the guests struggled to communicate. Some tried broken phrases, others pulled out translation apps, but it was hopeless. Every failed attempt added tension to the air. Whispers floated. "How will this meeting work? This looks unprofessional." Khalid grew restless, his sharp gaze moving across the crowd. He spoke again in Arabic, his words confident, even urgent, but no one understood. The room shifted uncomfortably, silence heavy. At the edge of the hall, a waitress named Maria served drinks. Near her, a little girl sat quietly sketching in a notebook. Her daughter, Sophia, just 9 years old. No one noticed her. No one ever did. Until now. When Khalid spoke again, Sophia's head lifted. Her eyes widened. And before she could stop herself, she whispered loudly. He said, "The numbers don't match. Someone isn't telling the truth." The room froze. Dozens of heads turned toward the small voice. Maria nearly dropped her tray. Khalid's eyes locked on the child. He repeated something in Arabic, testing her. And Sophia answered perfectly. Gasps rippled through the hall. Guests leaned forward, stunned. Khalid's stern face softened into the first smile of the evening. "You understand me?" he asked, hopeful. "Yes," Sophia said simply. The room erupted in disbelief. And just like that, the night changed forever. The room buzzed with shock. Every pair of eyes locked on the small girl in the yellow dress. Maria's hands shook as she set the tray down, whispering, "Sophia, what are you doing?" But Sophia wasn't afraid. She sat straighter, her notebook forgotten, and looked right at Khalid. He leaned forward, speaking again in Arabic, this time slower, deliberate. His voice carried authority, but also curiosity. Sophia listened carefully, then turned to the businessmen at the table. "He says the formula in your proposal is wrong. The energy output won't be enough to power the system you promised." The executives went pale. One of them chuckled nervously. She must be making this up. But Khalid's sharp nod confirmed it. His eyes gleamed. Finally, someone understood. Murmurs spread around the table. How does she know Arabic? Is this some kind of trick? Maria rushed forward, apologizing. I'm sorry, sir. She just likes to read books, watch things online. I didn't know she... Khalid raised a hand, silencing her. His gaze never left Sophia. This girl speaks with precision, he said through her translation. Not a mistake, not an accident. The lead executive, red-faced, tried to defend himself. Mr. Khalid, with respect, our calculations are sound. Sophia frowned, flipping the proposal pages with her small hands. Her finger pointed at a line of figures. No, here. You multiplied wrong. Look. The entire room leaned in. Even those who couldn't follow the math could see the slip. Clear, undeniable. Gasps spread again. The executive's jaw tightened. He had been caught. Khalid's deep laugh broke the tension. He clapped his hands once, loudly. Incredible! A child sees truth where grown men hide lies. All eyes returned to Sophia. In that moment, she wasn't just Maria's daughter. She was the most powerful voice in the room. The executives shifted uncomfortably, their polished confidence crumbling under the gaze of a child. Maria reached for Sophia's hand, but Khalid gently motioned for her to wait. Translate for me, Khalid instructed, his voice commanding but calm. Sophia blinked, surprised. Me? Yes, you. Let them hear my words. Her small voice carried across the table as she translated his Arabic into perfect English. Each sentence felt heavier, like a stone dropped into water, sending ripples through the room. My partners claim they can power 1,000 homes, Khalid said. But with this mistake, not even half will light. Sophia repeated his words, her tone steady, confident. The executives scrambled to respond, speaking over each other, throwing numbers and excuses. But Khalid silenced them with a raised hand. "Enough," Sophia translated, her little brows furrowing as she mirrored his authority. "I came here seeking honesty, not deception. Do you think I cannot tell the difference?" The room went dead silent. Even Maria, standing frozen by the wall, felt goosebumps. Khalid's gaze softened as he turned back to Sophia. "Little one, how do you know my tongue?" She hesitated. I like languages. I read books. I watch videos." Arabic sounded beautiful. "I wanted to learn it." For the first time all evening, Khalid smiled. It wasn't the sharp smile of a negotiator, but the genuine warmth of a man touched by sincerity. "You remind me of my daughter," he said quietly, his voice thick with something unspoken. Sophia translated his words, but her voice wavered. Maria noticed and stepped closer, gently resting a hand on her daughter's shoulder. The businessmen exchanged uneasy glances. The deal they thought they controlled had just slipped away, and into the hands of a little girl no one had noticed before. The executives tried to regain control. One of them, a tall man in a gray suit, leaned forward. "Mr. Khalid, surely this is a misunderstanding. Numbers can always be reinterpreted," Sophia translated faithfully, her voice carrying the word reinterpreted with clear skepticism. Khalid's eyes narrowed. "Reinterpreted?" He repeated in Arabic, his tone sharp. "Or falsified." The silence that followed was suffocating. Even without translation, the meaning was clear. Sophia delivered the words carefully, each syllable hitting like a hammer. Maria's heart pounded. She wasn't sure if she should stop this or let it unfold, but Sophia's small hand squeezed hers under the table. She was braver than anyone in the room. One of the executives cleared his throat, sweat gathering on his brow. "Mr. Khalid, perhaps we should revisit the terms. Adjust them to your comfort," Sophia translated again. But this time Khalid's smile returned, not the warm one but the sharp smile of a predator circling his prey. "You came here thinking I was blind," he said through Sophia, "because I lacked my translator, but now I see more clearly than ever, thanks to this child." The men shifted, their confidence shattered. Khalid leaned back in his chair, folding his arms. "Sophia," he said in Arabic, lowering his voice, "what do you think? Should I trust these men?" Her eyes widened. "Me? Yes. Honesty comes easiest from the mouths of children." Sophia glanced at the men, then back at Khalid. She swallowed hard, but spoke with quiet conviction. "I don't think they're telling the truth. My mom says real trust never hides in numbers." Khalid's smile softened again, and he nodded. Wise words. "Then let us show them what true power looks like." The executives paled. They had lost. Khalid rose slowly from his chair, the fabric of his tailored suit whispering against the silence. The executives stiffened, expecting anger, maybe even the end of their careers. Instead, Khalid extended his hand, not to them, but to Sophia. "Stand with me," he said. The little girl's eyes widened, but she obeyed. Maria tried to protest, whispering, "She's just a child," but Khalid silenced her with a reassuring nod. Sophia stood beside him, dwarfed by the long table and glittering chandeliers. But her presence was undeniable. Khalid addressed the room in Arabic, his voice steady, commanding. Sophia translated every word, her tone growing stronger with each sentence. "These men thought they could deceive me. They thought wealth blinds me. That power can be stolen with false numbers. But tonight, truth has been spoken, not by them, but by a child with courage greater than theirs." Gasps rippled through the room. The executives exchanged desperate glances, their composure crumbling. One tried to stammer out a defense, but Khalid lifted his hand again. "No," Sophia translated firmly. "This meeting is over." He turned to Maria, his expression softening. "You raised her well. Integrity like hers cannot be taught in boardrooms, it's born at home." Maria's eyes shimmered with tears. For so long she had worried about Sophia being overlooked, underestimated. But tonight her daughter had become the voice of truth in a room full of lies. Khalid faced the executives one last time. "Take your contracts," Sophia translated, her chin lifting proudly, "and take your deceit with you." The men gathered their papers in shame, their empire of numbers collapsing in the presence of a janitor's daughter who had nothing to gain, but everything to say. Khalid looked down at Sophia. "Tonight you saved me, and perhaps you saved something far greater." The room emptied quickly, the once confident executives fleeing with their polished shoes and broken pride. The heavy doors shut, leaving only Khalid, Maria, and Sophia in the grand hall. Khalid lowered himself to Sophia's height, his eyes glistening. "You were braver than men twice, 3 times your age tonight," he said softly. Sophia translated the words herself this time, smiling shyly as she realized she didn't need anyone else to speak for him anymore. Maria clasped her daughter's shoulders. "She just spoke what she felt was right," she said, her voice trembling with pride. Khalid stood tall again, turning toward Maria. "No," he said firmly. "She saw truth when others blinded themselves with greed. That is rare and priceless." He reached into his briefcase and pulled out a pristine envelope. Sliding it across the table toward Maria, he continued, "This is a scholarship for Sophia. Any school, any university she dreams of, paid in full." Maria's eyes widened, her hand trembling as she touched the envelope. I can't accept this," she stammered. "You must," Khalid insisted, "because she belongs in places where her light can shine, not hidden in the shadows of men who lie." Sophia looked up at him, her small voice steady. "Thank you, but I didn't do it for a reward." Khalid's stern expression softened into the warmest smile. "And that," he said, "is why you deserve it most." Maria pulled her daughter into her arms, tears falling freely. For years she had scrubbed floors and cleared tables to keep them afloat. And now, because of her daughter's courage, a door had opened to a future she never thought possible. As they left the hall together, Sophia whispered to her mother, "Mom, maybe truth really is stronger than power." Maria squeezed her hand. "Yes, baby. And tonight you proved it." Later that night, Maria and Sophia walked through the quiet city streets, the snow crunching beneath their shoes. Maria clutched the scholarship envelope against her chest like it was fragile glass. "Mom," Sophia whispered, "do you think Mr. Khalid really meant it? Or was it just something rich people say to feel better?" Maria stopped walking and knelt down, her breath fogging in the cold. "Sweetheart, I've worked for men like him my whole life. They talk, they promise, and then they forget. But Mr. Khalid, when he looked at you, it wasn't about money. It was about respect." Sophia thought about the way Khalid's eyes softened, the way he listened when no one else had. A tiny smile tugged at her lips. "I think he saw me." The next morning, Maria's phone buzzed. An email, short and simple. "Please bring Sophia to the foundation office. We must speak of her future." Maria's hands shook. She reread the message twice before showing it to her daughter. Sophia's eyes widened, half excited, half nervous. When they arrived, they weren't greeted by a receptionist or a secretary, but by Khalid himself. He stood in the lobby, waiting. "Sophia," he said warmly, "last night you reminded me of something I had forgotten, that truth is worth more than profit." He gestured toward a glass wall behind him. Beyond it was a library filled with books, computers, and a group of children studying together. "This," Khalid explained, "is my foundation, a place for young minds to grow. And I want you, Sophia, not just to learn here, but to help build it. You will guide me on what children truly need." Maria gasped. "Guide you? She's only 11. Khalid smiled knowingly. "And yet she speaks with more wisdom than most adults I meet." The library was alive with clapping and laughter, but Khalid raised his hand for silence. His expression grew serious, the kind of gravity that made every child lean forward, listening. "Many weeks ago," he began, "I sat in a room filled with men in suits. They thought they could fool me. They thought money could buy truth, and they would have succeeded, if not for one voice." He looked at Sophia. Her hands fidgeted nervously in her lap, but her gaze never wavered. That night, Khalid continued, this little girl reminded me that honesty is not weakness. It is strength, and it must be protected always. Maria's throat tightened as she watched her daughter. The same Sophia who once curled up in bed with a flashlight, and a dictionary was now standing at the heart of something greater than either of them had ever dreamed. Khalid turned to his staff. From this day forward, this foundation will carry a new name. It will be called the Light of Sophia Foundation, because she saw truth when others hid it, and because she reminds us that light can come from the smallest flame. The room erupted again, children cheering, staff clapping. Sophia's eyes welled with tears. She turned to her mother, whispering, "Mom, he named it after me." Maria hugged her tightly, her voice breaking. "Yes, baby, because you earned it." Khalid placed a gentle hand on Maria's shoulder. "And because of you, too. You raised her with courage. That is the real wealth the world needs." As the applause continued, Sophia stood taller, no longer shy, no longer overlooked. She was a symbol of truth, of hope, of the power hidden in unexpected places. And in that moment, Maria knew their lives had changed forever.